Hey guys, I just wanted to talk to you about my preferred button inputs across most games. I touched base on it a little bit on my last video regarding the back attachment setups that I use for the DualSense Edge controller. This is just going to be a more general video. Hopefully some developers listen to it and implement the changes or whatever, I don't know. Some feedback, constructive feedback will be good for them. Anyway, let's get started. The most important input in across most video games, and the input that most developers get wrong most of the time where they put it, is the sprint button. You're going to use the sprint button the most out of every input in a game, at least I do, especially if you're not using toggle, which is terrible. If you want to toggle sprint, it's terrible, it's a bad idea, you shouldn't do it. Anyway, in most games they put it on L3. This is a terrible button for sprint. You're gonna be, sprint is your most used button, and you're gonna have to keep clicking it while you're moving around. It's not the same as jump. Even though I use jump for R3, it's much smoother than sprint is on L3. It's just terrible. So what I do across most video games is I put sprint on L2. L2 button is the best sprint, and no one can convince me otherwise. Now, if a developer is smart, and some of them are, no offense, what they'll do is they'll combine sprint and dodge into one input, one button. And if that's the case, then you can map it to your L1, which I use as dodge most of the time. L1 is the best button for dodge. But if it's also your sprint, it frees up your L2 to do other things like aim. Aim is aim is great, obviously. I don't want to be aiming with R2, which I do a lot of the times because I need L2 as sprint. And then my shoot is R1. I'm shooting without a trigger. And that means because you're not aiming and shooting with your triggers, your haptic feedback is disabled. So you're missing that out on that. And if you're playing a game like Returnal, haptic feedback's really important. So you're gonna have to get around that sometimes, depending if haptic feedback's baked into the gameplay. Anyway, developers, if you're listening, either put sprint on your L2, or please combine the inputs dodge and sprint into one button, one input, and then free up your L2 to aim, and then you can shoot with R2. Anyway, R2 also, if you're playing games like Dark Souls, it's the best block button. If you have sprint on L2 and block on R2, you're running around blocking with ease, and you're controlling the camera. R1's your best light attack button. If you're playing a game like if you're playing a first-person shooter, it's gonna unfortunately be your shoot button, unless like for example, I played Resident Evil. Sometimes you can get away with making your aim the left back button, and then have sprint on your L2, and then your shoot on R2 instead of R1, because now you freed up the aim. Otherwise, if you don't want to put aim on your left back button, which it's fine, it takes getting used to. I've been doing it more and more recently instead of having aim on R2. But yeah, jump, I already said this, jumps are on R3, or the best button is the flipper. Sometimes if you won't have access to it, you have to map it, some other input to it, either like a heavy attack or some other, maybe interact sometimes. Although I use the left back button, the squeezer, for interact a lot of the time. I've been using it on Pragmata. I've been just playing Pragmata recently. Fortunately, I don't know what they were thinking. Pragmata doesn't have a weapon wheel. It's all D-pads, up, down, left. I don't know. Some of these decisions confuse me, but and their touchpad's barely used. Like, anyway, face buttons. Or actually, let me talk about L3. What do I put on L3? L3 is kind of a dead. I used to put jump on it, and it didn't work. But it's kind of a dead input for me. It's usually like either a lock on or sometimes interact. I think in The Last of Us, no, that was touchpad. Fortunately, Last of Us lets you rebind the touchpad, which a lot of games don't do for some reason. Touchpad is such a good input to be able to use. I mean, obviously the best game that's used the touchpad is Warframe. They've actually they essentially they turned it into a weapon wheel selection and it flows pretty nice. It's responsive. So, regarding the face buttons, Genshin Impact, way back in the day, I used this to switch characters. Sometimes, if I get real crazy with it, and I really want to get immersed, I'll use these as selections, like item selections. So, like, down will be, usually the item selections are mapped to the D-pad. I'll switch all the inputs on the D-pad and put them on the face because you'll be able to move and select your items at the same time. And that's better than not being able to move, having camera control, than using your D-pad while you're stationary and you're using your items or switching characters. You don't want that. So face buttons, you just replace them. So down is X and circle is right, etc. And I use these to switch characters or items. A lot of games like Dark Souls. I keep saying Dark Souls, but it's like a genre at this point. But sometimes I'll use like X to switch inventory, because the items on the bottom, you can switch, you press X and it'll cycle through the items, and then you press circle to use the actual item, or triangle. A lot of the time my triangle is my heal or another interact button, depending on the game. Anywho, yeah, developers, please combine L1 and Sprint. That way you can use haptic feedback and you bake it into your gameplay more often. I use half sensitivity, the triggers are set to half presses. Full press is too much. Unless you're using haptic feedback, then you're gonna have to switch it to full press. The small press it kind of hurts. It kind of hurts the fingers after a while, and you don't get the feeling of pressing down enough. Whereas the middle is the right feel for it, I find. You can see my thumbsticks. I use the ones that are rest lowest. So the lower the analog is, the better control you'll have. And this is what playing the Nintendo Switch has revealed to me, is that their analogs are low, and they actually feel nice, even though they feel cheap. The ergonomics of it feels nice. Now for Rocket League, I use the basic controller, and the basic controller has the basic analogs with the dip into it and the lip around it. That's actually better for racing games. I don't know why. Maybe because when you're on the edge, it lets your thumb doesn't slip off if you have the lips on the edge, and then it's roughly the same height as the default ones. This controller does come with ones that rest higher. I didn't like them personally, and also it makes it more difficult to press the thumbsticks, which I do a lot, so you don't want that. So yeah, if you're playing racing games, switch these up to default. Otherwise, these are the best ones. I think I've touched on everything. There's probably going to be something else I missed as I think it over. But if I do, I'll make another video. Hopefully this helped you guys. Oh, and any developers listening, please make that change to your game. It'll help a lot. Fix your sprint. Thank you.